this self-entitlement and self-righteousness that just thinks it doesn't make sense in their mind, therefore it's not possible.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people today, especially today, believe that they think the law works like this and the law works like that. And this is what happens. And I'm telling them, I know the law. I worked in the law. It doesn't work like that.
There's a bunch
people can override it.
Know about a bunch of nuances concerning the law that we don't. And you know what, man? Because just to add on to what you're saying, because here in KCMO we have men's community activism here, and one of the things we sat down with the police department before, right? And one of the biggest things was, like I said, we had the police department, we had the media, and we had the DAs. Where we were trying to get representatives from those three entities, because to see what is the problem, or why those three entities don't work congruently together. It almost seems like they work opposite of each other. And so first we started with the police department and interviewing those. It was some detectives, and one of the biggest things they had was that, let's say for marijuana is legal here where I live now. KCMO dispensary got lines, look like you're going, like they're giving away free cheese now.
Okay.
But now look, there's some people whose lives have been permanently altered because of an ounce of weed.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at it and all this money's being made from it, right? So, I kind of look at the situation like this. When it comes to making your communities better, I think you need to reach out to those entities. So we did. And we talked to the police department first. And my question to them was, these guys were real nice. Why isn't there something that we can do to get, maybe possibly retired combat veterans, people who did work in law enforcement, to help police their own neighborhoods to a degree without being the police? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without going and acting as though you are the authority, but it's to help within the community. So this is the pushback that I received. The pushback, for one, was that no matter what they were getting frustrated at the questions. This is what I noticed about some policemen. When you ask them a challenging question, sometimes they get frustrated. And it's just a question. It's not nothing that we're saying that you're doing anything wrong, but it's an area of understanding that we're trying to gain. And then most of them get a little frustrated, but after talking for a while, they became a little bit more passive to the understanding that I was trying to drive forward. And that particular understanding is this. You have the police department. Why do you guys not work with the media to produce a better understanding of how your community relationship is with the police department and the community itself? Why we don't see that on the news? Why we don't see, all we see is the beatings. I don't want to see, we see you walking a dog somewhere, getting an animal, but we don't see you directly dealing with the community sometimes. Not all the times, but for those communities that are facing a lot of violence, a lot of deterioration, a lot of brokenness, to where the community no longer trusts law enforcement. Yeah. And unfortunately, I believe that's where we are today. But this is what I'm getting to. The police was saying the media was the problem. The media is not putting out I'm like, because one thing, like, when you guys do have a corrupt cop and you kick him off the force, why isn't that news?
Yeah.
Why? If you know he was corrupt before he did something, this week we let go, or this month or this year we let go 25 police officers who were found to be dangerous to the community, or were found based on whatever method they judge them on, were found not to be effective as police officers in the community. That'll let the community know that, wow, they're looking for the bad officers.
Yeah, absolutely.
In many cases, we know that blue line, they call it blue ceiling or whatever they call it, the blue shield or whatever they call it, right? That's a real thing. And unfortunately, me being a combat veteran, it's a real thing. Being in foreign countries, our troops didn't do the best to the opposition. We do have we have bad soldiers.
Yeah.
All soldiers is not good. They're not good. But now, being in combat, I saw soldiers do some horrible things to Iraqi soldiers. And it wasn't necessary. Culture in combat arms, and this is the truth. And many of you combat arm veterans out there know that may be listening. You know this is the truth. When you're on the front lines in combat, it's all kind of things go on there. There's really no control as far as watching your behavior. Your behavior is not the most concern anymore. So that means that you can be as violent, you can be as sadistic as you want towards the opposition. And that's without any, any transparency, without any repercussions.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to live like that, and this is one thing that, as myself, been to 3 combat zones, man, it can get to you. You can start becoming that.
Yes.
Because your environment, I'm using combat arms in the military. Now we are out, I got over like 3.5 years on the front line, just out there. It's a different world. And if we don't have individual responsibility for our actions, it can be chaotic out there on that front line. Because you're dealing with people are afraid. You're dealing with the enemy coming at you, throwing all kind of subliminals at you and all kind of things. I was telling a guy one time, in Desert Storm, before Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Saddam Hussein, I still got one of the leaflets. The little leaflets he would drop for Black Americans. And why would you fight for people who enslaved you and everything? I still got it, man. So propaganda also is a part of it. The propaganda that you put behind it, it creates, it can
dissension.
And so what I'm getting to with the meeting we had, it just seemed like the police don't get along with the media. The police don't get along with the DA. You got cases here. The DA. The guy say, I got a room full of marijuana and can't do nothing with it because the DA won't do this and won't do that. So it just seemed like it's such an argument between the police, the DA, and now the media. So the image of the police department, in a lot of cases, it's not coming from the community. It's coming from those 3 entities. Really.
Yeah.
I found
absolutely.
I found that interesting though, that I didn't get anywhere with it. First of all, we didn't get nowhere.
Okay.
We did raise a concern about, we want to help the community. We want to help. We don't want to see people get brutalized, get killed, and we don't want to just point the finger at the police.
Right.
But wrong is wrong. When you know your bad officers, it should be a moral obligation for all officers to call them out. And the same thing with in the Army. We knew the bad guys. We knew what they were doing. We had the option to participate or to not participate. And that's all you had though in the Army. In combat, that's all you had. You go participate with what they're doing or you're not. You can't go tell nobody at that time. But coming back, if God, you saved your life, God and saved you through combat and everything. When you come back and you know what's been done. You know who did what. And if you don't say nothing about that and you put that person back in a situation of leadership, now your environment creates who you are, in my opinion. And
it definitely can. Yeah.
Participate so much with the ugly side of it, the humane side. This is one thing that I'm a humanitarian. I love people. It doesn't make a difference what your race is or anything. I love people. And also I do not love people who are violent. I do not love people who are racist. I do not love people who are opinionated and believe their opinion is only theirs without the consideration of the feelings of others. And that's why this particular fabric of society is so damaged today.
True. 100% true.
I'm a Black man, come from the South. I love white people, Mexican people. I'm looking at, see, a humanitarian is different than just a person who supports his or her race.
Yes.
What's of the most value is that you are a humanitarian. And when somebody got to fight for this country, this is why with that farmer, he put up the flag of him being a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fight for this country, and you come back and get treated like that. Ask the Vietnam veterans how they felt. And so,
oh yeah,
most of them were Caucasians. They were getting spit on.
That's right.
How you think they felt? Now they were by other Caucasians. So it's not about, it's the humanitarian piece that's of the most importance. And getting back what I'm saying with the police department, that's what all we were asking for is, where is the humanitarian piece? And how can we be a part of the humanitarian piece, not a part of the racial conflict? Because that's brewing too.
Yes, it is.
You have a choice to what side you're going to defend. And by being a humanitarian, you defend all sides. You see what I'm saying? You
Absolutely.
just call wrong, you're wrong. You're black.
That's right.
You're wrong. And you call right. That's all.
That's right. That's it. And that's what I tell people about myself. I say what is wrong is wrong. I say what is right is right.
Right.
I said, I'm not going to be pro-black, because somebody called into Judge Joe Brown's show and said, hey, Drew, you need to throw your fist up for your people and show your power. And I'm just like, for what? I was like, I'm about right and wrong. Am I throwing my fist up for something right or for something wrong?
Right.
And he couldn't answer the question. I said, so by your response of silence, you're just telling me that I should just support black people because they're black. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm never going to do that. I will do what is right. If somebody has something wrong happen to them and they're in the right and they happen to be black, you got the support. It's the same way if somebody's Caucasian and they go through something and it's not right and they're in the right and wrong things are happening to them, I'm going to support that because I'm about what's right. I'm not looking at the skin color. I'm not looking at those things that are not an issue whatsoever. We're all human beings. Like Bruce Lee said, underneath the heaven and skies, we are all but one family.
One family, right.
And I believe in being one family. And so when I would see people, rich, poor, whatever, go through things, I wanted to know what I could do to help. And I was interested in what was going on because things were not right. I knew a rich kid that got his head put through a windshield by a deputy sheriff out in San Bernardino. Actually, no, it was a PD guy out in Barstow area, California. I was there when that whole trial was happening, and mom and dad were well off. Dad was eating Tums and Rolaids by the dozen because he was so nervous, you know, but he's wealthy. But yeah, a police officer put his son's head through a windshield. And so they were there dealing with that whole thing. So, I mean, I want people to know that. Like, here's a wealthy guy, Caucasian kid, wealthy. Both parents, Caucasian, wealthy. Wrong police officer, attitude, wrong time, puts his head through a windshield. Did he endure anything that called for that? No, absolutely not. He actually didn't. He was very compliant. Cop just didn't like him. I think he was driving a little bit more fancier car than what he liked.
Right.
It was one of those situations.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, these things, they happen to all sorts of people.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of driving more to. And you know, in a lot of cases, the squeaky wheel get the most